Greetings, gentles all, to a special edition of Banjo Strings and Drinking Gourds. Today we shall be broadcasting straight from the 17th century. That's right, listeners, 'tis time to pull out thy neck ruffles and dust off those wig curlers. We're coming to you from the sleepy town of Hartlebury in Worcestershire in the year of our Lord 1645. 'Tis finally December, that special time of year. The fields lie bare, the animals stabled from the frost. Our days are short and cold, yet we have upcoming celebrations to look forward to. December has long been a time of celebration around the country. The dark of winter needs fires and festivity to banish it, and the new year needs must be rung in properly. In days long past, the Romans brought Saturnalia to our fair shores, marking a time of revelry in honor of their god Saturn. With the coming of Christianity and the reign of Ethelbert of Kent, the first converted king of England at the end of the 6th century, the wild celebrations shifted to honor Christmas. As Thomas Tusser just wrote in his 500 Points to Good Husbandry, a collection of advice for the whole year round, "At Christmas play and make good cheer, for Christmas comes but once a year." Nearly 1,000 years have passed since Ethelbert's reign, and Christmas traditions have become part of our culture. Christmas always means mince pies, strong ale, singing, dancing, and visiting one's neighbors. I, for one, have been known to overindulge in mince pies. But these are troubled times. We've had 4 years of war. Our King Charles is deposed and fighting for his birthright. Cromwell and Fairfax's new model army marches through the countryside, still triumphant after the Battle of Naseby in June of this year. To make matters worse, our newly Puritanical Parliament has disavowed Christmas. The Act of Parliament last year, so-called an Ordinance for the Better Observation of the Monthly Fast, and more especially the next Wednesday, commonly called the Feast of the Nativity of Christ, throughout the Kingdom of England and Dominion of Wales, strictly prohibited the celebration of Christmas as it fell on a mandated fast day. No such order has strictly been issued by Parliament regarding this year. However, it is understood to have been abolished. No mention of Christmas, or Whitsun or Easter for that matter, was made in the Directory for the Public Worship of God issued by Parliament in January of this year. It is obvious amongst the people that the parliamentarians have set their watchful gaze upon the Christmastide. Why, it might even be said that Christmas was killed at Naseby fight, as the broadsheets have read with lyrics to that most popular song, "The World Turned Upside Down." Those who do dare celebrate shall find themselves in trouble. There is strong pressure from above to remove all signs of celebration from what the Puritans would have be a day devoted strictly to fasting and reflection. What's a small royalist town to do? Should we be lawful and abide without Christmas? Or shall we subversively celebrate, bring out defiant carols, and craft so-called idolatrous mince pies? While we take a moment to ponder our conundrum, we'll take you now to our military correspondent embedded with the Royalist Army somewhere in the West. How fare you, Master Samuel?
The fighting is rough. Charles's troops have little to rally them, and the army's leadership is crumbling. Prince Rupert of the Rhine, one of the strongest commanders before his rout at Bristol, has expressed disbelief in the ability for the crown to win the war. Cromwell's forces still overwhelming in both numbers and supplies, not to mention training with the new model army. The Battle of Naseby was a turning point, most definitely. 7,000 royalist troops lost, not to mention supplies, munitions, and our king's personal papers. The parliamentarians have surely damaged the royalist cause by publishing Charles' plans to engage Irish Catholics in the fighting. The anti-Catholic sentiment sweeping the nation has prevented many from flocking to the royal banner, leaving troop numbers dangerously low. We've now lost Hereford, and the royalist enclaves are dwindling to those few remaining in the west. I'm beginning to think heading to the New World to battle the untamed wilderness is a far safer choice than remaining with the Royalist army. But who knows what 1646 shall bring.
Our thanks, good Samuel. Best of luck to you, and God be with you if you depart for Virginia. We return now to our Christmas debate. To steal a phrase from a play written at the start of our century, back in happier times, to Christmas or not to Christmas, that is the question. Christmas can mean many things to people. To me, it is the feeling of well-being, of knowing the family is gathered for a period of relaxation and celebration. Good food, good drink, and good conversation flow plentifully. This again brings Thomas Tusser to my mind, stating as he did, "Good bread and good drink, a good fire in the hall, brawn pudding and souse and good mustard withal. Beef, mutton, and pork, shred pies of the best, pig, veal, goose, and capon, and turkey well dressed. cheese, apples, and nuts, jolly carols to hear, as then in the country is counted good cheer. Nothing is more traditional to Christmas than shred pies, also called mince pies. Truly an English tradition, here is Mistress Sally to walk us through the baking of mince pies.
Well met, gentles. Mince pie is one of my favorite things to bake for the holidays. Whether you choose the traditional beef suet or not, the main flavors of mince pies come from the assorted spices and fruit crammed into the pastry. Coffin pastry, that dense, indelible shell, will preserve your mincemeat well enough that you can bake ahead of time whenever you have a spare moment, which is hard to find around the holidays. The flavors will not suffer for the waiting. They mingle and blend the longer they sit together. Letitia Cromwell, no relation, thank goodness, recommends the following to make mince pies. Take a piece of the butt of beef, boil it a little, then cut the outside off it and weigh the rest. To 10 pounds of beef, take 13 of suet. Mince them small together. Take 12 apples and mince very small and put to the meat. Then of currants, take 7 pounds. Of raisins, 8 pounds. Of prunes, 2 pounds. 8 nutmegs, 4 ounces. Of dates, 1 ounce of cloves and mace. Half an ounce of cinnamon, beaten a little. Beaten sandalwood, a pint of rosewater, a little pepper and salt, beaten ginger and caraway seeds, and 3 orange peels minced small. Put all to the meat. Within a coffin pastry, place the fruited meat. Seal a lid tightly. Add decoration of braided pastry, holly or ivy leaves cut from pastry, or whatever design you are inspired to make. Bake well in a slow oven until crust is brown. Now, I prefer to baby my mince pies. They are the cornerstone of my holiday celebrations, after all. I consistently check the oven, although not too much. I don't want the heat to escape, but neither do I want burnt pastry. Once baked, allow to cool and store away somewhere both mice and small, prying hands cannot reach. Bring out as a centerpiece to your Christmas feast. Surround the pie with festive greenery such as holly or ivy. Now, holly and ivy are very traditional to an English Christmas. Quite frankly, their use as winter decorations predate Christmas by quite a lot. But as the song of the centuries past declares, deck the halls with boughs of holly, fa la 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 la. Holly and ivy represent the masculine and feminine respectively. There's an age-old custom of competition between the holly and ivy in terms of decorating. The boys would hang the holly and the girls the ivy. Whomever placed more of their plant around the hall was able to trade an undesirable chore with a loser for the duration of the 12 days of Christmas. If you are afeard of decorating this year, as hauling much greenery about makes your celebration quite apparent, I highly suggest using the decoration of the mince pie as a substitute. After the children cut out pastry pieces, have a small competition as to who can cover the coffin the most.
Our thanks, good mistress, for sharing your best receipt with us. I can almost smell the pie now. The only thing more English than a mince pie at Christmas is the traditional boar's head.
Indeed. Why, there's even a popular carol describing that very dish. Shall we sing it?
The boar's head he can't bear I, be decked with bays and rosemary. And I pray you, my masters, be merry, contestis in convivio. Caput apri defero, maidens loudest domino.
We'll leave thee to thy baking, Mistress Sally. That brought back many memories for me, and hopefully for you, listeners. Of course, I do prefer my mince pies sans meat, but that is surely an oddity of fashion that will never catch on. Those very pies are under attack from the parliamentarians. They would rather Christmas be spent fasting than celebrating with good food. Of course, one does wonder how one would go about policing someone's choice of meal. What's next? Taking the very food off one's table in the midst of consumption? Surely this madness must die out. And speaking of food, Now, a brief word from our sponsor.
Tired of the typical meal of porridge, and more porridge? Dost thou seek variety in thy consumables? Why not try our fine range of spices, fresh from the West Indies and beyond? Come to the Royal Exchange, Grisham's Great Bourse. We have Indian pepper, aromatic Asian ginger, bright saffron, fresh from Essex. Not to mention cinnamon from Ceylon and cloves via the Dutch East India Company. Now they mayest be troubled by the rising trend of Puritanism, which has come to look disfavorably on food of actual taste. But really, good people, what would Christmas be without a little expense on food and spices? Get thee hence to the Royal Exchange and acquire the necessary items before the parliamentarians shut us down.
A trip to the Royal Exchange is surely never wasted, nor is a trip to London town and its amusements in general, with the rather large exception of current circumstances. Our cultural correspondent, Mistress Makayla, comes to us with news of the dire situation facing our cultural institutions in the capital under the parliamentarians.
Good e'en, gentles. I bring continued poor tidings of London's theatre scene. 3 years talent has lain fallow, following the closure of all theatres. What a departure from the glory days of my dear Uncle William. You may have heard of him, that most well-known of playwrights, Master Shakespeare. I don't mean to drop names, but I do fancy myself as carrying on the family tradition. What a pity I was both born a woman and into these times where theatre is considered dangerously decadent and a breeding ground for sin. I've half a mind to abandon this nation of my birth and head to more enlightened shores. The continent is much more welcoming of female talent, as demonstrated by the French troupe brought by our Queen Henrietta Maria a few years ago. There are enlightened families, however, who furtively perform dramatics within their own private homes, inviting only those close confidants whose secrecy is assured. Once this beastly political struggle is over and our king restored, I dare say theatre shall rise up stronger than before. On other topics, I must say I cannot disagree with Puritan calls for reform of bear-baiting and other blood sports, particularly those performed on the Sabbath. Those horrible fads should not be acceptable. However, it is taking it a bit too far to prohibit young boys from playing ball in the streets. Sundays are meant as a day of rest, and certainly a harmless recreation shouldn't be punished so terribly. Whipping is such a harsh punishment. Although you aren't able to enjoy your traditional holiday entertainments this year, I do hope you all have a happy Christmas tide.
London certainly seems under more strict regulation than the country. Take care, Mistress Makayla, and fare thee well if you flee to the continent. Another brief word from our sponsors.
Ladies, is your complexion fading with the short days? Has the stress of the ongoing civil war roughened your skin, dulled your hair, and chapped your lips? Well, that just won't do. Imagine being caught under the kissing bough with that strapping young lad you've had your eye on. Certes, you'd want to look your best during the 12 days, just in case. And what could be more enticing than shiny, berry-red lips? For this Christmas tide, try Mistress Emily's Cochineal Lip Rouge, guaranteed to brighten the palest of lips. Made fresh from ground cochineal beetle shells, Mistress Emily's Lip Rouge is sure to entice your beau to catch you under the kissing bough. For the truly discerning young maid, try our refreshing cucumber skin water. Make sure to get yours today, before the holiday rush.
Ah, the kissing bough. Such fond memories that brings. Gathering the ivy and mistletoe will be a thing of the past if the parliamentarians have their way. Yet another tradition of certain band this year is wassailing, that cheerful custom of going round the countryside singing carols at neighbors' doors and sharing the wassail bowl.
We sail all over the town. Our cup it is white and our ale it is brown. Our bowl it is made of the white maple tree. With the wassail and bowl we drink to thee.
Wassail is a tradition so steeped in history that its original origins are lost. However, the very word wassail is thought to be Anglo-Saxon in origin and to be a general wish for good health. Now, this being one of the more conspicuous Christmas traditions, and one likely to direct ire from any parliamentarians amongst your neighbors, it may behoove you to choose carefully the houses to visit. Here's Master Wright with a recipe for wassail for those of you unwilling to give up your celebration of Christmas.
Greetings and a happy Christmas to all. What could be more indicative of the season than a piping hot bowl of wassail? To drink to the health of your neighbors is the very definition of love and peace of Christmas. To begin, we start by baking our fruits, the apples and an orange. Now, the apples themselves are very important. One of the earliest forms of wassail involved hailing the good health of the apple trees that produce cider and banishing any evil spirits that might reduce next year's crop. So in honor of that tradition, we had apples. First, having baked them into a lamb's wool fluffiness, giving the drink its name from some other parts of the country. So here's the recipe. Core 6 small apples, placing sugar in the whole. Stick cloves into an orange. How many? Well, let's say that it should resemble a model of a virus that shall not be named. Well, the plague, of course. Bake all the fruits until the apples are soft but retain their shape. Cutting the orange in half, place it with the liquid from the baking dish into a large saucepan, reserving the apples. Add 2 quarts of either beer or cider. Then, take a full pint of sherry, add 3/4 of that to the saucepan, reserving the remainder for your immediate consumption. Then, take a full pint of port, add 3/4 of that to the saucepan, again reserving the remainder for your immediate consumption. Then, add sugar, cinnamon sticks, ginger, and fresh grated nutmeg to taste. Heat until the sugar dissolves and bring to a boil. Then remove from the heat. Serve, adding the apples. Enjoy the, fruits of your labor, and wassail to all.
So, however you celebrate the season, from our company to yours, as the song says, love and joy come to you, and to you your wassail too. Peace be to you, friends.
If you enjoyed listening to this podcast, please consider visiting the website and clicking on the donate button. Donations to the American Florticulture Foundation support programs like field trips, summer camp, and special events. We greatly appreciate it. See you next time.